I ask you, what is it to be perfectly human in an imperfect world? Well, the Glitch Factory is going to go on the road and see if we can find some meaning behind that. Got my jeans on. Doors open. Right, here I am. Just found my way into Quartus, and I'm at the Found Family Farm. You can see the sign there. See some of the fields in the background. So look. There we go. Down on the farm. Oh, look who's coming now. Amazing. You just never know what you're going to find here on the farm. What an adventure. At first he gave me quite the scare. His silent and moody ways hacked away at the chance for a conversation. The fishnet stocking face and the elongated head exuded sadness from behind his shades. The sloganized style of tool pouch spoke of perpetual laudability or residual naivete. He claimed that he was afraid of being propped up in the field work due to an uncanny bout of astrophobia. Russell Crowe would prefer a good book, a round of conversion tables, and an environmental post. #CAW and a tweet. His form should have been thin and ragged for the field work, but he was quite robust. Said he didn't like hanging around day in, day out on the same spot. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Well, good afternoon and welcome to Found Farm, and you're visiting with Aggie here. Aggie was created in 2012 to be a representative to go out to urban sites to help people understand more about what's happening on our farms today and why.
Excellent.
And so we do visit a variety of urban spots with her. We talk to people about what's happening on a crop farm, what's happening on a livestock farm, and if she doesn't have the answer, well, then she knows who to contact to get the answers.
And she operates by remote. You want to talk a little bit about the technology?
She does operate by remote.
At first, I thought Aggie would behoove me a chance to help out the farm. The documentary. I lack style and I failed badly in the cornfields. She said I was nothing but an agronomic aggravation. That was the last straw. Then the humans spoke of Aggie's tours through urban centers, raising awareness about the importance of agriculture. I began to notice the inner workings of Aggie's construct, even if she was remote, controlled. Deep down it felt like she might be an open source. I had the answers to all her planting questions. She was, after all, a Holstein. Guzzle, guzzle. I knew how to steer. Aggie was my future, but then there was Angus, big, beefy Angus. But she mooed me in ways I'd never been mooed before. We could combine. If Angus was sent out to pasture, or could he just end up as a fallow, relegated to online chats while I played in the field with Aggie?
Did our crow need a good threshing? Aggie thought. Last I heard, Russell Crowe and Aggie were drawing straws for a turn at the sketch pencil set found in the barn next to all the other art supplies. Now, they tour too, enjoy the birdsong and the work on the farm. Saw them surfing the internet and leaving slops out for the pigs. They imagine a beacon of hope that would point to a time when the fighting would end and war-torn places would be recultivated, so that people may return home, not to fight but to plow, seed, plant, allow for the growth of the little sprouts, and reclaim the land. Feel dignity in self-sustenance, along with the help of the global agriculture. Aggie and Russell Crowe, of course, would be there. But until that time, this documentarian caught a pic of their new city friends and the refugees they had all sponsored. they were en route to meet with RCNA in TO.
And now let us get back to the
Started in
farm.
1882 by my husband's grandfather,
Okay.
and it has stayed the 80-acre homestead, but we now rent an additional 520 acres, making the total farm about 600 acres.
Nice.
So the crop going here is fall wheat. So it was planted last October, and it grew up about this high, and then it went dormant for the winter, and in the spring it has woke up, and it was given a shot of nitrogen to help it in the spring, and it will now finish its growing season and should be finished about end July, first part of August.
Okay.
And it will be harvested. It will be harvested by the combine that I can show you a little later.
Great.
And on our farm, we keep some of the wheat for our own use. We have about 100 hens, and we have also a small clientele of hobby farmers that have a few chickens in their backyard, so they buy their wheat from us. Some of it we will attempt to sell, well, not will attempt, we will sell, and when you sell it, it depends on its quality of whether it goes for human food or whether it stays as livestock.
Interesting.
So,
Has this ever been done before? Of course it has. In 1678, John Bunyan, The Pilgrim's Progress, defines what it is to be perfectly human in an imperfect world. And yes, there were definitely a few glitches.
Pilgrims of the Agric Culture have progressed far from the 1600s and the puritanical visions of John Bunyan. More science-based, regulated, a new sophistication and interconnection that depends on human resources, modern technology, advanced information systems, data collection, and a knowledge of the farm that's deeply based on past generations, but still comforted and touched by their religion, just a little lighter touch.
weather is paramount. Weather is out of our control.
Right,
And
for
that's
sure.
the difference between farming today and farming 100 years ago. 100 years ago, there were the natural things like weather that was out of the farmer's control. But today we have many other things that are not natural, that are out of our control as well.
Right.
Things like government regulation, things like import tariffs or export tariffs. So
Right.
those things do
Those
affect
are all the
as
things
well.
you have to take care of.
Those are
It's not
things-
just about growing crops.
No,
Yeah. It's a lot of
isn't.
administrative.
And a lot of administrative, and today, with today's consumer, who is 2 and 3 and 4 generations removed from the farm, there is a lot of myths and misunderstandings and misconceptions out there.
Sure.
And we do have to deal with that because
Exactly.
ultimately they are our consumers. So
Right.
that's important to recognize.
And I guess people are more informed and well-read now, so they're taking
They-
a more interest in their
They
food
are,
sources.
Information is at your fingertips,
Right.
albeit on computer, on internet.
Right.
The problem with internet is not all internet is true.
Ah, true.
So you
Yes.
do need to, if you are a consumer looking to find out about the food you eat, it is best if you can go, if you know the person that's producing it for you, talk
Yes.
to them. If you don't know them, because many of us shop in the grocery
Sure.
stores, well, go to reputable sources,
Yeah.
whether it be the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, whether it be the provincial crop or livestock organizations.
Right on,
And
yeah.
they can put you into
Sure,
contact.
or a few of the doctors who studied or science, Guelph University,
Yeah.
they're very big in crops, crop rotation,
That's-
understanding of
Oh,
agriculture.
yes. And
So
not-
lots of science out
and
there.
not
Yeah.
putting science down. Science,
Exactly.
we are driven by science.
Yeah.
But what has happened recently, and by recently, I'm an old lady now, but I would
No,
say
you're
in
fine.
the last 20 years,
Yeah.
what we're getting more and more of is decisions being based on emotion. rather than actual scientific
Right, fact and data.
And one of the most recent ones that is front and center, and you probably know about it, is the neonicotinoid issue.
Yes.
And that's certainly an issue. As farmers, we have to care for our pollinators.
Exactly.
But they jumped on the bandwagon that it was this one thing that was causing the bee death. And there is no science to stand behind that at this point.
Yes.
So we need
I guess
to
it's more
investigate.
the question and the investigation, as you say, that's important.
That needs
and
to
I
be
think
involved.
often our watchtowers, which are the people, the media, that maybe they don't always get it right, but they do open the door to the question. And then we have to be careful what we jump on, as you say.
I was going to say.
The buzz. Technology puts a backpack on the bee. It's a micro-resistor that tracks the environments that the bee travels through to try and figure out what the stressors are on the bee population and how we might help. Solution number 2. Robo-bees. The first miniature robots that may pollinate our crops artificially through the help of these little mechanical beings. I ask you, baby boomers, Generation X, Y, Z, LMNOP, do we choose to discover and alter our impact so that the bees survive? Or do we enable those designs that are eradicating the bee population by filling in with a mechanical model? It is technically superior, but only in one direction. We still are at the point where we may just have a choice. Ideally, wouldn't it be just super if we could not only sustain the current live bee population, but maybe add in a few of the little robo-bees? What a curious blend. Alluring, yes. The best idea? I don't think so.
And
We
finding
do.
out what's
I
to the bottom of that, so that's
I
great.
was actually at Brooklyn Fair
Cool.
2 weeks ago as an ag educator and talking to a very well-known beekeeper, and
Very cool.
he did say the neonics are a problem, but they're only one of the problems.
Exactly.
He referred to
He's right.
a lot of other issues
Yeah.
that we need to be.
Exactly. So we were talking about, yes?
Spray,
Yeah.
if we get rid of the neonics, then the different sprays that will have to be used to control the pests and weeds may be more of an issue than the neonics were.
Right, yeah, exactly.
We don't
so
know
we
that.
gotta
You know,
do the
that's this
study.
article
Yeah.
He's
I just
right.
read today.
Yeah, he's thinking about that,
Yeah.
and you're right. We have to investigate it thoroughly.
Oh, yeah.
And right now it's still a question, but it's good that
Very
it's
much.
uncovered and we're looking into that. Yeah. Thank you.
Oil or water base, they stream into a raw, uncluttered canvas at birth. Symmetry builds in giving the space to imagine, learn, and do. Grounded by gravity, as temperature and paint runs, air flows, these externals are guides into the elements of internals.
Because our
Buffer
rural
between-
areas,
Say it again, sorry.
the buffer, we need the ability for the urban area to coexist with the rural area.
Absolutely.
Our machinery is big. It takes up a large part of our country
Yeah,
road.
you can hear it in the background there. Yeah.
People move out of downtown Toronto, and the first thing they find out is, oh, wait a minute, we've got flies, we've got smell of manure.
Right.
Now again, that's back to your livestock.
Yeah.
But other issues connected to the plants. Oh, they're using that crop protection material next door. And so those are other issues that we do have to deal with.
In the whole coexistence, because the food from the farm and the beef actually goes on to the tables of many of the people. So
That's
we have
true.
to work these things out.
Trespassing is a big issue. I mean, you
Exactly.
walk on a field that's just got little soybeans this high, they're not going to survive.
Right, right.
Worse than walking on the fields. We don't mind people walking across, but we do have dirt bikes and four-wheelers.
Oh, no.
And they,
Wow. They should keep to the
literally-
trails.
they literally can destroy a new crop of alfalfa pretty
Right.
quick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
there are
that's-
trails out there for those bikes. So hopefully
There
they're
are, but
gonna respect that now that
Yeah.
they see this maybe a
For
little.
what
And,
reason? But
oh,
I'm
a
afraid
little bit of
what
mud there.
it is, though, that they may not understand. They don't know. Oh, they just see the grass.
Right. They don't always know. Yeah.
No.
Maybe better signage is one of the ideas.
Signage
Yeah.
might be one of the things.
Or talking to the local people when you come in with your dirt
that's
bikes and
that's
things.
the
Go to the
main
gas
reason
station,
why
talk to some of the
Yep.
local people, and they'll tell you the places to go.
Yeah, that's the one
Yeah.
reason why we do the ag education tours,
Perfect.
is to help.
Okay, so we're gonna hop on this baby and take her
Okay.
for a ride, are
So
we?
This
All right.
baby was a gift to my husband 40 years ago when
Wow.
I said I do.
That's
And it was
lovely.
brand new.
This is the best wedding present ever
It was
for a
brand
farm
new.
family.
Yeah, it was brand new in
Love it.
1975.
Wow, look
Or
at the size of that
1974, I guess it was, when I actually
That was
bought
a
it.
good year.
And I paid a grand total of $7,000 for the tractor.
Oh my.
Today, the same tractor,
Yeah.
no bigger,
Yeah.
able to do the same meager, menial work, but not much, is $70,000.
That's a big price tag and big price increase. What do you think is the result of inflation like that?
Well, it's everywhere, isn't it? Our
Yeah.
salaries are more,
Sure.
so
And maybe the technology's a little bit better, a little more pricey, some of the materials to make the
right,
tractors.
That's right. And today we have very little manufacturing left in
Exactly.
Canada. Our tractors, most of them are coming from, and maybe all of them are coming from out of country.
Right.
They're coming from the States. They're coming from Germany.
But why did you not look for the steps? Fear followed me so hard that I fled the next way and fell in.
Don't be fooled. This woman is not an actress. This woman is not a farmer. She just likes sitting on a tractor. All systems go. Launch. Mars. Oh.
All right, we're going for a bit of a tractor ride now. So here I am. Just gonna take a seat. And there's Marianne is driving. You can see her in the front there. A little bit shaky on this. Get a chance to see. And we're just going for a ride on the tractor. You can see some of the equipment that's incredibly useful to the whole agriculture. And if you look out the back, I get this luxury seat, a whole wagon to myself, which is very nice.
Unique are our designs as they flow in directions together at times. Then Christian said, Sir, which is my way to Mrs. Jones's house?
Sorry, Don. Thinking that was the way to give the soil a rest and to replenish it. Well, we now know that isn't the best way, because you will lose up to an inch or 2 inches of soil each year through soil erosion. So today we go back to crop rotation. And in the crop rotation, for our farm now, within the crop rotation, you do put a grass or a legume. And that helps to give the soil the rest that it needs. The other thing that is vitally important for us here on our farm is soil testing. It takes place every fall. Every samples of thinking that was the way to give the soil a rest and to replenish it. Well, we now know that isn't the best way, because you will lose up to an inch or 2 inches of soil each year through soil erosion. So today we go back to crop rotation. And in the crop rotation, for our farm now, within the crop rotation, you do put a grass or a legume. And that helps to give the soil the rest that it needs. The other thing that is vitally important for us here on our farm is soil testing. It takes place every fall. Every samples of...
Come then, good neighbor, let us be going. Then they both went together. said Goodwill. An open door is set before thee, and no man can shut it. Christian. Now I begin to reap the benefits of my hazards.
At a fourth generation farm. My son is now operating it. We have 3 other children, but the round the kitchen table talks these days have to be, what about the future for us? Because right now the farm is taking everything. We have to have talks about what about the 3 children who chose not to be home on the farm, but they are still our children. And we have had the talk about fair does not necessarily mean taking this farm and dividing it equally 4 ways. Being fair means sustaining agriculture and sustaining the way of life. And the kids have all been in on that conversation. They have all said what they believe should happen with this farm in the future. We're kind of unique in the fact that we are no longer an agricultural community. This farm was actually zoned future urban development and industrial back 45 years ago. And so we have basically spent our lifetime knowing that this farm may not continue as an agricultural entity. That will be a shame.
Yeah.
That is the truth of it.
For sure.
And that's part of the planning too. So there's a lot of unknowns for the future.
Very important. Thanks for bringing that up. It's important. Thank you.
GW. But how is it that you came alone? Christian. Because none of my neighbors saw their danger as I saw mine.
Plow the fields in the fall and leave them perfectly clear and clean. We now know that in some cases that's detrimental again because of
Not that the heart can be good without knowledge, for without that the heart is not. There is therefore knowledge, and knowledge that resteth in the bare speculation of things, and knowledge that is accompanied with the grace of faith and love.
have it at our disposal. That animal manure, certainly wonderful nutrients for crops as long as you know what you're doing.
Yes.
But it's also very helpful to the structure of soil. So the livestock in that way are supporting our
We were just talking a little bit about the New Age millennium, kind of the insects that are coming in. So you had some thoughts on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I understand from reading that over in Africa, because it is not as rich a country in resources as we are, that they actually are finding that their main source of protein, animal protein, is from insects.
Smart.
And so I understand that that is being studied and investigated here in the Western Hemisphere
Yeah,
as well.
and Asia has long used insects and mealworms and all kinds of grubs for
we're
proteins
taking
in
it out.
foodstuffs.
And as our world is shrinking,
Yes.
because we're getting more and more people, and the cost of producing a large animal, say like a beef animal, for example,
Right.
the cost of producing those large animals, it takes a lot of expense, and so these new ways may indeed replace some of the traditional agriculture that some of us have known for years.
Working every day, putting calluses on my hands, trying to feed the family by the labor of this land.
Right.
Get up every morning
It is
before the
not
break of
mandatory,
dawn,
but on many
the world is too quiet to come before the storm. The work that we do is by the sweat of our brow, to feed all the people in the cities and the towns, whose feet are running before they hit the ground, trying hard to keep up with the world spinning round. And the sun keeps on shining, and the rain keeps pouring down, and the wind blows right beside us, and the sand's beneath our feet when the dirt road runs out. When the dirt road runs out. Come home every evening, knowing what I do makes people happy. It's solid and it's true. I do what works. Oh, it stands the test of time. Something important. It's yours and it's mine. And the sun
2, 3, go ahead. Here I come. Okay.
keeps on shining.
Nice. Thanks very much.
And the rain keeps pouring down, and the wind blows right beside us, and the sand's beneath our feet when the dirt road runs out. When the dirt road runs out.
Same old pimp, Drake, you know he done changed, but these funny style niggas we done put on in the game. I just asked for some blessings at my grandmother's grave, and it's back to LA. Open the mail, staring at the check, enough to make you go, man, it's gross what I name. I'm with my whole set, take a special.
We are behind, and because we have a heavy clay soil, basically there are soil can be sandy soil, clay soil, or loam soil, and the composition of those three components is going to help determine whether you have class 1, 2, 3 land. So here, ours is a little more clay, is precision agriculture.
Cool.
Precision means basing everything on science, protecting the soil, saving the water, doing what's environmentally right. So the planter has a computer. What is your
Look at that. That's really cool.
Well, it just tells, that one is a plain ordinary one. It just tells me how many, or that I'm planting seed
Great.
in every row.
That makes it a little more exact for you, isn't it? When you have some of these tools.
It's an issue if I go planting a whole field and all of a sudden 2 rows aren't planting.
Exactly.
And
It's a big space out there, isn't it? So it's nice to have a little technology to help you along the way. perfect. Very nice.
Brad's coming with the
Oh.
other tractor. You see the yellow
Awesome.
button on top of it?
Oh yeah,
That's a GPS system. It's newer.
you're kidding. GPS tractors.
Yeah, and
That's
the GPS,
awesome.
we know where the fields are, but the GPS system is so that when he is applying, whether it be the fertilizer to feed the plant or whether it be some of the crop protection materials we use, you don't want to overlap it because that endangers your soil.
Absolutely.
So the GPS tells them where to drive so that it goes on evenly.
That's incredible. Yes, right on. You don't want to endanger the pocketbook, that's for sure.
Some of the
There's
more
less
modern
wastage because
technology-
you have that technology alongside with you.
Yeah.
That
We
one there is close to $4,000, whereas your GPS in your car is probably $200.
Yes, right. Yeah, great.
We've talked.
Do you ever go off-roading with that GPS tractor? So Marianne's going to just talk about a little bit about what it is to be a woman in the farming industry. Okay, go ahead.
So today in farming, we have more girls entering the profession than ever before, and my feeling is it is because of the technology.
Right on.
For example, these bales.
Yeah.
20 of those little square bales fit into one of these.
Wow.
I used to have to load them one by one multiple times. Now I don't load anything. We have a tractor, and you'll see it up there, that picks them up and loads them on.
Thank goodness.
Now, why did we go to big round bales? You can feed more animals faster. It's easier on me, and it was just an economic choice that we made. We still do some of the small bales, like on your little wagon there. We find that's necessary in some of our barns that we cannot get the big ones into.
Right.
But I don't have to pick them up anymore. When
That's
they're
nice.
baled, that red machine out in the field.
Because you're talking injury if you had to try and pick up some of those things.
But the red machine out in the field is called accumulator, and it is a relatively new machine that goes on behind the baler, collects all the bales, assembles them in a pile, and then you come along with the tractor and a special attachment, picks them up and brings them to your barn.
It's nice to have a
So-
new idea, that's
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Very good. And then you have the axial flow combine.
That's
Can you tell me a little bit about this baby?
Well, this baby is old. It is our combine. We, because we only have the 600 acres, we are still considered a small farm.
Right.
The average size of farm today is 738 acres.
738.
Is the
That's
average
a
size.
big
So
size
that means
farm.
that we have a lot of farms that are thousands of acres.
Right.
And we have a lot of farms that are less than that.
Right, so there's a
this
nice
is the
mix of the
combine.
small
If
and
you're
large.
going to eat anything from the second food group,
Yep.
your grain,
Yes.
a combine of some kind usually picks it today.
Wow, look at that.
It is a self-propelled machine. It runs on its own motor.
Mm-hmm.
What it does is the first thing, it cuts the plant off at the ground, brings it into the plant. It sheds the grain from the head. The grain goes up to the top and is collected, and then this auger swings out and it goes into a wagon that comes along and carries it into the barn.
Right.
The straw goes back through and is dropped out behind.
I've
So-
never been this close to one of these.
Okay.
I've seen them in the field, and I've often wanted to get a little closer and have a look.
On
but
our
this
farm,
is great.
we do bale the straw because we do bed our animals on straw. So
And
right
look,
here
I'm just
it'll
going to climb up here because there'll probably be some excellent perspectives.
Well,
and as
there
I
you
said,
go.
it's
I
it's
haven't got
really
a
exciting
head.
for me to
You
get
have
this close
different
up.
you have different heads that go on the front depending what you're combining.
Right.
And so we haven't got any head on it now, but you can certainly
We
win
just
if
see
you want.
inside. All right, maybe I'll do that. I'm just going to turn this off for a minute, folks. Hold on. Okay. All right, so we're just going to open the door. Here we go. We're going inside of this combine. This is the cab.
There.
And if you look inside, isn't that cool? You can see. I'm just going to pan around. Wow. Imagine the perspectives from way up here as they're threshing the hay. Totally cool. And there's a few tools. Always handy. I'll just sit in the seat here. I feel like, oh wow, this is what it is to be a farmer. Wow, look at that. This is the views from the combine. Doors open. It's incredible. Welcome to the farmer's office. You said that the farmers themselves know how to fix many of the tractors and know how they have the equipment
yes.
for that?
Now, undoubtedly with the more modern equipment, like the tractor you saw with
Yes.
the GPS, you will call in specialized computer people to
Right.
deal with those computers.
Sure.
But by and large, most farmers are fixing their own maintenance and doing the maintenance work on their machines.
Interesting.
The cost, but
Right.
secondly, you don't have time. Your
Right.
boss is Mother Nature. I don't have time to wait for that planter to go out for 2 or 3 weeks, be overhauled, and then come back.
Right.
I've only got a certain amount of time
Yeah.
when that seed needs to be in the ground
True.
in order for that plant to reach maturity.
Right on. Yeah. So,
So
you
there's a
have
lot
to
of
you have to develop a lot of skills then to be a farmer. It's
Oh,
not
yes.
it's beyond not just
Yes.
understanding how things grow. It's the
No,
mechanics
we-
behind it. It's
Yeah,
knowing
we
the
do
seasons.
talk to the children about that.
Amazing.
We also talk to the children about the fact that, and now here again, not so much crop, but livestock farming has changed
Right,
recently.
right.
Much more focus now on how the animal is handled, managed, more than ever before.
Right.
And again, I think
Interesting.
that goes back to the breakdown, the gap between the rural and urban. So many urban people today are making their pets like one of their family, and not saying that's wrong, but then they have trouble getting around, so these farm animals are going to be slaughtered.
Yes, that makes it
Yes.
hard.
And
Right.
it
For
is
sure.
something we do have to address as farmers. And as farmers, though, we have to be willing to understand that there are always alternative ways to make things better. And in livestock farming, and especially management of the animal, we know that. We know that what we're doing right now may not be the best, but it's the best we've got today.
Right. Very nice. What an amazing classroom this is for bringing children in touch with the farm. Very nice.
So, do you want
Thank you.
We don't have every farm animal, but we do try and keep the common ones, and certainly the ones that are common on our farm, which are the beef, the pork, and the lamb. Goats we have added, or I added the goats, because goats are a very good commodity if you are starting into farming new. It doesn't take the capital to get started into goat farming. And also for the young children, it's an animal that they can see and get up close with quite easily. And the industry is growing. We have as we gain more and more new ethnic people in Canada, we're finding more and more goat meat is being consumed.
Right.
And with the people who cannot drink cow's milk because of its lactose,
Right.
goat milk is more lactose intolerant.
Yes,
And
for
so
certain.
they can certainly make
And
use
goat's
of that.
cheese as well?
And
Because
goat
the feta
cheese,
is very
We have
popular.
about 20, not us, but we have, ours is a sheep meat farm, but there are about 20 farms in Ontario that are milking sheep for their cheese.
Wow. Very cool.
And that's showing our rooster.
Yeah.
And the reason he does not live with our hens.
Yeah, he's kind of out in his own here.
And that's because we are raising eggs, or raising hens to produce eggs for human consumption.
I see.
We do not want them fertilized.
Right.
So
That makes
he
sense.
has a couple of hens, and I don't know where they are, right? They are sitting on their nest somewhere. They range more or less free range, and
Nice.
occasionally
Free
we'll-
range is a lot healthier means for raising chickens, isn't it?
Sorry?
Free range is a lot healthier way for raising the chickens.
No,
isn't it?
not necessarily. Because
Okay.
free range,
All
they
right.
can succumb to coyote kill.
That's true.
They can succumb to cold weather, wet weather, rainy weather.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no indoors. There is nothing wrong with raising an animal in a safe, comfortable, temperature-controlled environment.
Sure,
as
nice.
far as-
Oh, here's the chicks right over here. We
These
used to
chicks
raise
are-
chicks when I was a teacher.
Okay.
We
These
always
are-
brought
oh,
the chicks
you'd
in
hatch?
because the kids loved them. Yeah, we
these
loved
are
it.
a week old today.
And then what we would do is after they hatched, they would come to farms like yours.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep,
so it was a
that's-
really nice, and the children would learn the life cycle of
Yes.
the chicken.
Yep,
It was
and that's
really
There
amazing.
it is there. That's very
They
important.
just loved
now,
it.
These are not chickens.
These
are
are
turkeys.
Oh, these are turkeys.
These are turkeys. Yeah.
Cute.
We have the kids compare. Like these are actually the same age. They were hatched
Okay.
the same day.
Nice. Nice heat lamp environment there for them. That's very good.
It won't close. These chicks over here, these chickens over here, and the turkeys down at the end are the
Yep.
same age, so you can see how much faster the turkey grows.
Right. You have quite a range, don't you? Everything from the smallest ones here.
That's a
Okay.
The three little black ones are still with their mothers. They'll be leaving their mothers anytime soon.
Right.
When a ewe gives birth, she nurses the lamb for about 2 months. And they're, anytime they're ready to leave mothers.
Right. And then at the end here, you have, that's quite a big sow. Look at that.
She is 3.5 years old.
Wow.
And that's getting old for a lady. We don't start out on many pig farms. They don't start out in a big pen like this when they give birth.
Right.
Jared Diamond, in Guns, Germs, and Steel, The Fates of Human Societies, outlines why some animals were more easily domesticated than others. He explains this using the Anna Karenina principle. To be domesticated, a candidate wild species must possess many different characteristics. Lack of any single required characteristic dooms efforts at domestication, just as it dooms efforts at building a happy marriage. So there we go. There is the theory for why there are some animals that are, quote, destined to perpetual wildness, unquote, and others that are not, according to Jared Diamond, Pulitzer Prize winner. Yes. All right. When the door runs out. Oh, look, right here in my purse. Excellent. From farm to urban cities to out in the globe, we have a very special relationship with food, perfectly human, really. Series 1, I hope you enjoyed. How does she do that? Next in this Documentivity series will involve another farm, a few gardens, and of course the science behind farming. Stay tuned.